Hello students. Today we will study about the types of communication skills. The first type is the verbal communication. Verbal communication takes place with the help of sounds, words and language. It is divided into two parts, that is oral and written. Oral is again divided into two parts, that is interpersonal and public speaking. Interpersonal communication takes place between two or more people, generally at individual level. On the other hand, public speaking involves a single speaker and many audiences. Written can be defined as the way of representing your language in a visual form. Writing is a very effective way of communication. In our day-to-day life, we need to write many things such as letters, essays, speeches, and applications. However, we often ignore the fact that writing is an art. Now moving towards the next communication type, that is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication involves symbols and sign languages that do not require words to be conveyed. Some examples of non-verbal communication are as follows, like hand movements, facial expressions, body postures, eye contact. It can be referred to the kind of communication that involves various characteristics such as tone of the voice, smell, touch, and body motion. Now we will move to the third type of communication, that is visual communication. Visual communication involves display of information that can be read and seen, such as photos, signs, code, design. For example, television may be represented as visual communication or visual symbols for Wi-Fi area. In this type of communication, no medium is required to convey a message. It is the person's ability to read and understand the signs and photos that are displayed in front of him. Now we are moving ahead and see what are the barriers to communication. The first type of barrier is physical barrier. In this, a person who is conveying the message sends only selected information. It can be from the receiver ends also, when the message is conveyed and he receives only selected information and omits the other information. Second barrier is personal barrier. It can be understood as an attitude of a person towards the another. Attitude is one major problem in a communication process. Another thing is lack of confidence or overconfidence. Next is it can be lack of motivation. In any organization, if these things are there, that means the communication is not done in an effective manner. The third type of barrier is organizational barrier. Organizational barriers arises because of complexity in organizational policies and rules and lack of communication facilities. It can be the status of the person which changes from person to another person. Next is when the feedback is restricted. We must always remember that communication can be effective only if it is a two-way flow. Next is rules and regulation of the company. Sometimes it restricts the proper flow of information. Next is filtering of information from upward to downward flow, like from the boss's level to the employee's level. Next one is socio-psychological barrier. It involves factors like the psychological needs and feeling of a person, place in the society, status in the hierarchical structure of the organization, differences in attitude, family background, cultural differences. These are the prime barriers in the communication process. Now moving towards the last one, that is semantic barrier. It refers to the difficulties that occur in communication because the same word or symbol is interpreted in different ways by different individuals. The misinterpretation of symbol or words lead to the failure of communication. I can give you one example. Like the Portuguese flag, the red flag indicates danger, whereas in Korea the white flag is used for the same purpose. Misinterpretation of messages occur when the listeners interprets words based on personal definition that have been established by the background, education and experience. Now let us move and see how we can overcome the barriers. The first one is medium and time. Choose the right medium and right time for the information to be sent. Next is right language. Right kind of language or words should be used that may have a positive effect on the receiver. Speak less and listen more is a famous saying. God has given you 2 ears and one mouth, hence use them in that order. Ensure two-way communication. Communication should not be done only in one way. It should be in a two-way communication. Communication can never be effective without a proper feedback system. Therefore, seek feedback and give clarification whenever required. The last one is be courteous. Use the magic words. Please, thank you for everything. For any communication, it is very necessary. Now, moving towards the very important part, that is a SWOT analysis. Every organization works on its SWOT analysis. SWOT is abbreviated as S for strengths, W for weaknesses, O for opportunities, and T for threats. As you can see, there is one table. This is known as the SWOT matrix, where our parameters are opportunities and threat, and we have to see according to the strength and weaknesses. The first one is SO strategies. SO strategies pursues opportunities that are a good fit to a company's strength. A company having a strength can grab various opportunities. WO strategies helps to overcome weaknesses to pursue opportunities. Any organization can find out its weaknesses and try to overcome so that the opportunities which are lacking, they can grab it easily. Next, coming to the strength and threat strategies. ST strategies identifies ways in which strengths may be used to overcome the threats. According to the organization threats, it is very helpful in overcoming the threats. The last one is WT strategies. It is a kind of strategies that most of the organization work on it. They take out the weaknesses, they find out the weaknesses. Those can be a threat to their company. They try to overcome those weaknesses and establish plans to prevent it. I hope these information will be helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching this video.